nice day out there in places. Now, broadband customers are losing out if they don't switch their broadband contract and provider after the initial deal ends.
This is according to a report out from Citizens Advice. Steph's more details. Good morning.
Yeah, morning to you both. I mean, it's not a shock to hear that switching providers can often save you money, but it's not often you hear the people talking about that with broadband. So that's what we're looking at today. Morning, everyone. Yeah, as Lou said, this research comes from Citizens Advice. They looked at the cheapest fixed broadband deals provided by BT, EE, Sky, TalkTalk and Virgin Media. Now, they're the top 5 suppliers who make up about 90% of the UK broadband market. Now, they found that if customers stayed with their provider after a deal ended, the research showed that prices went up by 43%. That's the equivalent of about £9.45 a month. And if you factor in that people often stay with their supplier for an average of 4 years, then of course these extra costs can run into hundreds of pounds. Well, with me now is Matt Upton, who was from Citizens Advice. Thanks for joining us this morning, Matt. Do you think people are aware of this and it's just laziness? Why do you think it happens?
Well, no. I mean, what our research shows is that people often pay hundreds of pounds more than they should to for what can only be described as a penalty, really, on their loyalty. And I think one of the things that we found through our research, actually, was that about a third of people, actually over a third, didn't even realise that this happens. Now, a couple of reasons for that. I think it is actually a relatively new phenomenon. If you look back 5-6 years, the contract price only tended to go up by about £1-2 a month, whereas, as you say, now it's £9 or £10. But it's also, anyone who's bought broadband recently can just see it's incredibly difficult to see and to understand what you will actually pay beyond your initial contract price. So I think there's a bit of lack of awareness there.
And you guys are saying there should be more transparency then from the providers?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a few things. One thing is we all live busy lives, and it just really shouldn't be this difficult to understand how much you're going to pay for things. So one thing that would help would be, when you are looking at that initial price, it should tell you how much you'll pay once it does roll over. But beyond that, I would again be very surprised if many viewers know exactly the day that their broadband contract is going to expire. We probably all have little ways of dealing with it. If you're as sad as me, you might have little reminders in your calendar, but actually it just shouldn't be that difficult. And I think companies should do a lot more to warn people when they are coming to an end, whether it's by text message or whatever else it may be, so then people are able to take action and save the money they're due.
I'm that sad as well. I love a spreadsheet personally. But when you talk about this, you know, we talk loads about switching, and I mean, surely people know now that loyalty often doesn't pay with a company, and it's the onus is on the customers to actually change things to try and get the best deal.
Well, you would think that they would understand that, but as I say, as our research shows, is lots of people just don't. And I think one of the challenges here is that loyalty is such a noble attribute in so many other facets of our lives that it's very strange that in these markets like broadband, and energy is another really high-profile example, that loyalty is so viciously punished almost. And the problem is it always tends to be those who can least afford it. So people on lower incomes are 3 times more likely to have been on a contract for 10 or more years, older people twice as likely. So it's really the people who can least afford it who are paying the most.
And we were talking about car insurance earlier. That's another biggie. Matt, thank you very much for your time this morning, and more on that car insurance story about premiums going up a little bit later on in the programme as well.
We are hearing you beautifully, Steph, this morning. We're talking about mumbling.